I want to talk to you a little bit about how to study Spanish. Um, this class is different than anything you've ever done before. You've not had to practice this way in a really long time, maybe since like first or second grade. And it's a skill that you've probably lost sight of a little bit. And so I want to help refresh your memory. And so to give you some tips on how to study, I'm going to compare studying Spanish to a pizza. And so the foundation of any pizza is its crust. And so I will liken this in our class to the teaching. So when I expose you to new words or new grammar, and that's the foundation. And if you did nothing else, this is what you would end up with: some plain crust. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't look like a very appealing meal to me. So probably if we're going to make a pizza, we want to put some things on it. So we want some toppings. And the toppings are the vocab and grammar that you work on. And so you practice and it repeatedly expose yourself to it. And that's how you get toppings on your pizza. And so I'll even say that the words, the vocabulary is the sauce. And you won't very often see a pizza without any sauce, and you can't do any Spanish if you don't have any words. So the sauce is the vocabulary, and with that, you have to give yourself repeated practice and repeated exposure. And then the toppings, the little added bonus things you put on there, that's the grammar. So you're going to take your vocabulary or your sauce and pair it up with some rules, and then you are able to make sentences and answer questions. So the sauce paired with the toppings, and you end up with a pretty good pizza. So if you don't put in this part of the work, though, remember you just have crust. And yeah, it might get you by if you're hungry, but it's probably not the great meal that you were hoping for. So let's talk about how we study vocabulary. When you get a list of words, the first thing you want to do is find out what the words mean. And so I kind of put this as this first step is called definition. So you define the words that are exposed to you. And maybe they come on paper if you're in a face-to-face classroom, or maybe you have an electronic list. You have to find out what the words mean. And so definition is the first step in learning vocabulary. Secondly, after definition is recognition. Can you see a word in Spanish and immediately know what it means in English? You recognize what that word is. And the best way to practice recognition is with flashcards. And you might be old school and make your own paper flashcards, but it's really not necessary in this day and age. You can have electronic flashcards in two places. This is classzone.com, which has flashcards already made for your vocabulary. So the lists are over here and you flip right through them and they talk. And this is Quizlet, which has lists of our vocab words as well. And Quizlet also will talk. And it's nice because you just practice, practice, practice. You can discard them when you know them. You get that repetition. So first step was definition. Next step is recognition. And then the third step is production. Could you put this word on a piece of paper or have it come out of your mouth? Can you produce it on your own? And in Spanish class, you need to be able to do both. Produce it out of your mouth and produce it on paper. And the best way to do this is practice it that way. Practice saying it and practice writing it. And you probably have to put pen to paper to do this. And I know you could probably type it repeatedly, but I prefer writing it, and maybe you have a whiteboard app on your iPad and you can just write it over and over again like that. Then you don't waste any paper. And the thing that you kind of have to do here, and this is where I think most students don't take it to this step, you have to keep exposing yourself to the words. So you have those words, you have that vocabulary, you have those flashcards. You have to go back to it every once in a while and keep it in your mind. I am 100% positive that I have forgotten more Spanish words than I actually remember. And I know a lot of Spanish words, and that seems amazing to me, but I've been exposed to thousands and thousands and thousands of Spanish words, and I'm pretty sure I don't remember them all. So you have to keep bringing it back and bringing it back. So studying grammar is a little bit tough, and that's something that's new too for us because we don't study grammar in our own language. So you have to get exposed, and I give this to you in the notes and I explain it, but you have to be open to understanding what I'm saying and taking good notes. And think of your notes as like your instruction set on how you're going to do this. And so just keep developing that skill of taking good notes. And a good way to know if you didn't take good notes, when you go to use your notes to do something, if you can't do it, you didn't take very good notes. So step 1 is good notes. Step 2 is practicing it. And you have to practice like you mean it. You have to consciously do everything correctly. You cannot mindlessly wander through this homework. And I know a lot of classes you can do that, but in this one you can't. You have to do your work, and when you're finished, you should feel like you have them all right because you knew what you were doing and you followed the rules that were given to you. And then you have to practice this skill as well. So conjugamos.com has grammar practice, as does classzone.com, and I will constantly be reminding you of these practice opportunities. It's your responsibility to do it. And it's not a huge time commitment, but if you will do a little bit every day, 10 minutes every day, I think you'll have a pretty pleasant Spanish experience. So here's just one more example of some practice. You have to do it and you have to understand it. So when you do that practice, if there's something you don't understand, you have to mark it up, write yourself some notes, and then get some answers to your questions. If you start to get confused, you have to get help. You cannot wait. It has to be addressed immediately because we'll just keep plowing on and you'll be lagging behind. So don't wait to get help. See me, email me, call me, something, stop by. You have to get it addressed sooner rather than later. So it's kind of like, I hate to go to this sad topic, but it's kind of like cancer. And the sooner you get it taken care of, the better. So don't let it go, don't let it go, because if you do, it might be too late and you might be so far behind you can't get help. So there's just a few tips on how you can best study Spanish.